Welcome to Grab or Stab. I'm Matt McFarland. Here we talk about horror movies and we grab if it's good and we stab if it's not. Today I'll be talking about Scream 5, released in 2022, which I'm just gonna go ahead and call Scream 5 from here on out, okay? Good, glad we're all on the same page. But before we get into all of that, let me explain how decisions are made around this place on whether or not to grab or stab a movie. First of all, it comes down to how good are the kills. Second, the characters in the movie. Third, the Ghostface reveal. And lastly, how scary is it? After the death of longtime Scream director Wes Craven in 2015, the franchise took another almost 11-year break. Well, minus the 3 seasons of the MTV Scream series. Eventually, directorial duties for the 5th movie went to Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, who both directed the 2019 horror comedy Ready or Not. Writing duties this go-around were taken over by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. Longtime screenwriter Kevin Williamson didn't take on writing duties for this one, but did stay on as an executive producer.
You know, it's so funny because I had sort of washed my hands on this entire franchise because Wes was gone. There's no way I would be involved with it, particularly not after Wes passed. He meant so much to me. He was my mentor. He taught me so much. So yeah, I took it really hard when he passed. And so when they approached me, Jamie Vanderbilt approached me about it. I was like, no. I said, you know, you guys go make a great movie, and I'll see it. I just woke up one morning and said, what am I doing? They're gonna make another Scream. Do you really want them to make another Scream and you not be a part of it? It's one condition. Can we please dedicate the film to Wes?
Similar to the other movies, the studio took measures to protect the ending from being leaked. To do so this time around, each actor's script had a different name revealed as the killer at the end. This time around, the direction of the movie was to relaunch the series with a direct sequel to Scream 4. Scream 5 takes place about 25 years after the original Woodsboro massacre, and we've got a new killer putting on the Ghostface costume this time. Once again, targeting a group of teenagers to resurrect some old Woodsboro dirty secrets from the past.
It's the perfect blend of a story that brings new characters into the mix while also touching on and paying respects to what came before. It's a baton pass from one generation and one legacy to the next.
The tone of Scream 5 is a lot different than the much younger feeling Scream 4, which I did actually enjoy. Scream 5 definitely has a tone more like the original, which was the intention. After another 11-year break, a new studio, a new director, and a lot of new cast members, is Scream 5 good enough to grab, or is it one we want to stab? Well, before we get into all of that, we need to get into the movie first. And it all starts with a phone ring inside this very symmetrical house. I like it. Inside the home, we meet Tara Carpenter, played by Jenna Ortega, who we've also seen recently in the horror slasher X, and who's become a big part of the genre recently despite not growing up on horror.
I used to be a big scaredy cat when I was younger, so I wasn't really into horror, but Scream was one of the first movies I watched to kind of break that mold and kind of get myself out of that phase in my life. And I've always had such an appreciation for the franchise. So to see that script come and land on my table and the opportunity to be a part, I just knew I had to. But also, what I will say, the deaths are pretty insane.
A landline in 2022? Nice. Tara, though, declines the first call and continues texting her friend Amber. Turns out Tara's mom's out of town and she's trying to get her friend Amber to come over with the enticement of free food and movies. Either it's friendly banter or Amber's kind of a shitty friend, but apparently free food isn't enough. However, once the asthmatic Tara mentions the unlocked liquor cabinet, Amber likey. The phone rings again, this time she picks up. The caller is asking for her mom, Christina, and claims to be a friend from group. They get to talking a bit, and Tara decides this might be her mom's new boyfriend. The caller also claims to know she's into scary movies, but not just any scary movies. Elevated horror, apparently.
What's your favorite scary movie?
The Babadook. It's an amazing meditation on motherhood and grief.
Is this how teenagers talk nowadays? I feel like I was way less articulate when I was in high school. The caller thinks it's a little fancy pants, but wants to know if she's seen Stab. Here we also find out Tara lives in Woodsboro and has seen the original, but only once many years ago at a sleepover. But when the caller explains how the opening of the original Stab starts a lot like how they're talking now, she feels a little uneasy and hangs up. I always laugh when she locks the doors. I feel like this voice is something that belongs in a Mars artillery bunker in 2060. Not an American colonial home in 2022.
Systems armed.
As she relays what's going on to Amber, the phone rings again, to which Amber texts her that she should answer it. The text then says, answer the phone or Amber dies, with a video from outside Amber's window. The caller, of course, just wants to play a little game. Oh, by the way, as you probably guessed, the caller's Ghostface and is once again voice acted by the legend Roger Jackson. Well, what's the game gonna be this time? Turns out this time it's stab trivia. Tara gets the first few right with a little Google cheating. Now for the final question. Who was the killer in Stab 1? To which Tara excitedly answers Billy Loomis.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tara, but that's just not correct. The correct answer is Billy Loomis and Stu Macher. There are 2 killers in the original Stab.
Well, no liquor cabinet or schnacks for ungrateful Amber. But just as Tara opens the door to head to Amber's place to help, hello, Ghostface. Tara then gets sliced in the side but does successfully lock him out. Ghostface, though, somehow also has access to her home security app. As the two play a little lock-unlock game, the phone rings again with a bonus question. Ghostface wants to know if she thinks he made it inside her house before she was able to rearm. I'm gonna go with a no. Ghostface then stabs Tara in the belly, rearranges her leg, then turns her hand into a shish kebab. With her good leg, Tara kicks him and you hear a lot of Ghostface grunting and moaning. Definitely sounding like a guy behind the mask, but yeah, it could be the voice changer. He's pretty mad now. Then, just as we hear sirens from outside, because per usual, the cops in Woodsboro are always late, Ghostface then ends this little wrestling match for good, not with a stab this time, though a slash instead. This leads us into our slashy movie title sequence. We next find ourselves at Cardinal Lane's bowling alley.
Ah, can't you just smell the old carpet, the cigarette smoke, and the old nacho cheese? I miss bowling alleys.
Outside the bowling alley on a break is Sam Carpenter, Tara's sister, played by Melissa Barrera.
I really liked the fact that she's an older sister, I'm an older sister, so I can immediately connect to that love and that wanting to protect your siblings. And that for me was an immediate like, oh, I know her.
Meeting her outside is her love interest Richie Kirsch, played by Jack Quaid, who I can't lie looks exactly like Joshua Jackson. In reality though, Jack is the son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. And fellas, you might want to write down this next pickup line. They say 60% of the time, it works every time.
You are my boner pals. No.
Just too hot and bothered now, Sam has to ignore a call from someone named Wes Hicks, who immediately also sends a text saying, I don't know if you remember me, but please call me ASAP. It's about your vehicle's extended warranty. I'm kidding, it's about Tara. So, call she does. This guy Wes tells her that Tara was not only attacked and stabbed, but is alive. So, in a turn of events for the franchise, no one died in the opening. The caller also tells her it was someone in a Ghostface mask. Here we also find out that apparently Sam and Tara aren't on the best terms. Regardless, Sam heads to Woodsboro Hospital. We then find ourselves back in front of Woodsboro High School. Over the intercom, the students learn that classes are canceled. Fun fact, Drew Barrymore, who I'm sure you remember was famously and shockingly killed in the opening to the first Scream movie, is the one voice acting the principal over the intercom. Now hold on to your butts because this is about to be a mouthful. Here we meet the main group of friends in the storyline. The mystery man Wes Frosted Tips Hicks, played by Dylan Minnette, named in honor of Wes Craven. Mindy Meeks-Martin, played by Jasmin Savoy Brown. Her twin brother Chad, the jock Meeks-Martin, played by Mason Gooding. Liv Great Hair McKenzie, played by Sonia Ammar. Little fun fact, her last name McKenzie is in reference to Casey Becker's unseen neighbors from the first movie. And last but not least, finally in the flesh, Amber, I hate snacks and movies, but I do love free booze, Freeman, played by Mikey Madison. Remember Randy Meeks, the fan favorite film nerd from the first and the second movies? Well, Randy is twins Mindy and Chad's uncle. Keep that in the back of your mind for later. We also learn here that Wes's mom is Sheriff Judy Hicks, who is again played by Marley Shelton, who you probably remember as Deputy Hicks from Scream 4. Or you might remember her as the lady with the lemon squares. Wait, who's the 9th year senior with a dope car? Oh, turns out it's the Chad Liv hooked up with last summer when he worked with her and Tara. Sorry, Chad, I know your name's Chad, but I just couldn't resist. The creepy dude with the nice car is actually named Vince. Turns out Vince is Stu Macher's nephew and not only likes to show up at her school uninvited, blowing creepy kisses, but also has been stalking Liv's Instagram for weeks. By the way, Chad, why are you all bruised up?
Tara said she fought back hard. You've got bruises.
It's from football practice.
Oh, sure.
As Sam and Richie are on their way to Woodsboro, Richie informs Sam he's never even seen a stab movie. All right, time to break up. We also get treated to some terrible post-production dialogue replacement.
Never seen Stab. Not even the one that came out last year.
It doesn't even sound like it was recorded on the same microphone or even in a car for that matter. A movie budget of $24 million, my ass. Also, I learned that this process is called ADR, or Automated Dialogue Replacement. The more you know, right? At the hospital, Sam arrives and we learn that their mom's MIA because she's stuck at a conference in London. Sounds kind of familiar? The friends give them some alone time and head over to a bar that apparently doesn't card high school kids. According to Ammar, we learn that Sam and Tara's dad walked out on the family when Sam was 13. Sam also left the family immediately after her 18th birthday. Wes thinks it's suspicious how overprotective Ammar is of Tara. The group then decides everyone here should be a suspect, though except for maybe Liv because they think she's too boring to be a serial killer. Our buddy Vince, though, clearly disagrees as he's at the bar too. Vince offers to buy her a drink, even in front of her really big boyfriend. Chad then calls Vince an uglier version of Michael Myers, so Vince pops out the switchblade, to which the bartender tells them all to get the fuck out. Outside the bar alone, Vince caresses a brick wall and breaks the seal, but has to prematurely stop peeing because someone just got in his car.
Oof, that's gonna sting.
As Vince turns off the car, he's immediately schwoinked in the neck by Ghostface and down he goes.
He did.
And Vince earns the make-believe trophy for the first death in Scream 5. Vince might not be a big part of the story, but not only is Vince Stumacher's nephew, but the makeup team decked him out here with a plethora of horror Easter egg tattoos. If you freeze frame it, you can see Nancy's address from A Nightmare on Elm Street, a Ghostface knife, WC on his neck for Wes Craven, and Jason's hockey mask from Friday the 13th. Back at the hospital, Richie's busy watching Stab on Netflix while Tara and Sam nap. When Sam wakes up, he claims he's watching it to be prepared. Sam then heads to the break room to take her medication where she runs into Billy Loomis? Turns out, Sam's medication is an antipsychotic to help her overcome visions. The OG Ghostface Skeet Ulrich filmed all of his scenes in a single day using a green screen. In 2022, Skeet was 52 years old, and because he aged pretty damn well, his scenes only required a tiny bit of digital touch-up. Billy tells her that she can't run from who she is and he's just trying to help. He also asks when she's going to tell Tara why this is all happening. However, it's interrupted by a phone call from Ammar. By Ammar, we mean Ghostface. Ghostface claims to know her family's secret and vows to hurt both her and her sister. And right as Sam eggs him on, he accepts the challenge and lunges out from behind the door.
All right, two things here. He was either talking to her through the world's first open soundproof door, or he just has great timing. Secondly, how long was Ghostface waiting in this room without being noticed? The only reasonable explanation is that he knows her medication schedule and just got lucky that she didn't already have a glass of water in Tara's room. Regardless, Sam eventually fights him off. She finally gets a cop to come and help, but he's gone? Okay, so now Ghostface just ran down the hall in a Halloween costume and nobody noticed? Not even security cameras? This movie, man, I swear. After some light questioning from Sheriff Hicks, Sam finally spills the beans on the family's dirty secret. Sam explains that before their dad left, she found her mother's journal in the attic of their home. Inside the journal, she found out that while her parents were dating in high school, her mom was in love with another guy who got her pregnant. Turns out this other guy was Billy Loomis. While she confronted her mom about this new information, her dad overheard the entire thing, which is why he left. She also says this is why she ghosted the family, because she felt responsible for breaking the family up. The news obviously doesn't make Tara very happy, so she tells Sam to leave. Unfortunately, now even more people know about the secret as Richie Rich was outside the door listening this entire time. Richie then plays the supportive boyfriend well, but Sam has other ideas. Sam doesn't want something bad to happen to him, so she tells him to get the fuck out while he can. In which Richie tells her he loves her and he's staying. Alright, well, since her sister won't talk to her and the police won't help, what the hell are they gonna do? Why not roam around a trailer park for some answers? Not just any old trailer park though, it's Dewey's trailer park. By the way, are those Tatum's ashes? Dewey has now graduated from being a shitty cop to now spending his days eating shitty food and drinking Irish coffees. That can't be all he does though, right? You're right, he also likes to act like a giddy schoolboy when he turns on the morning news to watch his ex-wife, Gale Weathers.
Yes, as they remind us several times in this movie, they are now divorced. Dewey's morning routine is interrupted though by Sam and Richie at the door. Sam gets him to eventually open the door by telling him she's Billy Loomis's daughter. Yeah, I'd say that would do the trick. Dewey eventually agrees to give them 2 minutes, then immediately grills Sam on her boyfriend. How long she's known him for, did he know who your dad was before you met, has he expressed any interest in Woodsboro or Ghostface? All valid questions, I'd say. He then lays out the essential rules to survive in a stab movie. Never trust the love interest, which Richie doesn't appreciate. The killer's motive is always connected to the past, and most importantly, the first victim always has a friend group the killer is a part of. After Sam and Richie leave, Dewey calls Sidney Prescott, who now has kids and enjoys little morning runs. You also hear Dewey ask, "How's Mark?" which Neve Campbell later confirms in an interview was in reference to Mark Kincaid, the cop from the third movie. So Mark and Sid have been fucking. Dewey then avoids work questions and cuts to the chase. He tells Sidney about the attacks. He then makes Sid promise to not come back. She agrees because she has zero intention of ever coming back to Woodsboro. Neve Campbell was hesitant to return to the franchise without Wes Craven. However, part of what changed her mind was after she received a letter from the directors where they wrote about how much Wes and his films meant to them. After Dewey hangs up with Sid, he then texts Gale to let her know what's happened with an awkward smiley face at the end he quickly regrets. As Sam and Richie arrive at the twins' house, turns out Dewey had a change of heart. Also, sir, do you have a permit for that gun? You're not a cop anymore, bud. Inside the home, which contains a lovely Randy Meeks memorial, weird, the entire squad's here to chat about what to do next. Oh, hey Martha, haven't seen you in a while. If you've forgotten or haven't seen Scream 3, Martha is Randy's sister. Sam tells the group her family's secret. The group disagrees on their taste in horror movies, and then Mindy dips her toe into the self-aware Scream meta. Mindy talks about how you can't just reboot a franchise from scratch anymore. You need to recreate a requel with new main characters but supported by legacy characters from the original. Think like Halloween 2018.
I think it's pretty clear who the killer is at this point.
Who?
You?
Awkwardly, the entire group agrees that it makes sense. So Sam gets pissed and drives off. As she's driving, she gets a little pep talk from Papa Loomis.
I say accept who you are, let's get out there, find out who's doing this, and cut some fucking throats!
Bit aggressive, wouldn't you say? We now find ourselves at the Hicks residence. Judy leaves to go pick up some sushi as Wes hops in the shower. Judy then gets a call from Ghostface and gives us the best response to the "What's your favorite scary movie?" question.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I prefer animated films and musicals.
I love her response. It's just so wholesome for a Scream movie. Ghostface then tells her that he's gonna kill Wes. She speeds home just in time to get stabbed by Ghostface on her porch in broad daylight. This Ghostface gives zero fucks. He then stabs her 8 more times. I imagine a neighbor walking by with their dog like, that Judy, practicing for that next Ghostface killer again. That Judy, always such an overachiever. Wes gets out of the shower and heads downstairs. He notices the front door slightly open. Right after locking the door, Ghostface is behind him, and damn, Wes doesn't put up much of a fight and dies in one of the more graphic kills in the franchise, as the knife slowly slides through the side of his neck and out the other end. He did. We're next transported to Richie's hotel room. In Richie's hotel room, he's catching up on some YouTube and watching movie reviews from Stab 8. Anyone else spot the little Easter egg there on the right? Interview with Woodsboro survivor Kirby Reed? Hell yeah! Definitely one of my favorite characters from the 4th movie, who it sounds like will be potentially coming back for the 6th. Since Sam happened upon the Hicks crime scene, she also notices that the cop who's supposed to be guarding her sister just left her ass and came here to rubberneck. Have I ever mentioned how bad the cops are in Scream movies? So Sam panics and frantically heads to the hospital with Dewey. In the hospital, Tara hears a struggle outside her door, and when no one answers her calls, I mean the pain meds are great and all, but I'm out this bitch. The power then cuts, at least on her particular floor. Are you also getting Halloween 2 vibes just like me? Tara then painfully wheels herself down the hall and notices the cop on duty is currently choking on his own blood. The guy's looking like my first fish when I was 4 years old and had no idea fish couldn't just hang out on the carpet with me. Sorry, Mom. Tara's not going down without a fight, though. Yeah, get crank called in the face, Ghosty. Oh wait, that's just Richie, who claims Sam told him she was in trouble. Behind Richie, though, is actually Ghostface, who conveniently just slashes him on the arm, then knocks him out. Another non-fatal arm slash? We've seen that before. Tara fights back and makes her way into the hallway, but it seems it's all a part of Ghostface's plan. As he turns on his voice changer, he answers Tara's phone and lets Sam know both Richie and Tara are about to die. Wait, actually he decides to make it more interesting and let Sam choose who lives and who dies. Sam, though, delays the conversation just long enough to arrive on the floor. As the elevator opens, Dewey opens fire, but Ghostface lunges out of the way. All right, now brace yourself. You're about to witness what I consider one of the worst sequences in the entire franchise. Dewey then doesn't even bother checking to see if Ghostface is still close by, heads for Richie, and then predictably gets attacked by Ghostface. The two fight for a moment until Dewey ultimately puts his police training to good use. He gives Ghostface a Scottish kiss, then unloads 3 shots into him. And alright, if this was the first movie in the franchise, okay, make the mistake of not shooting him in the face, or not making sure he's dead, or not taking off the mask, but it's the 5th movie and we're still doing this shit?
You have to shoot him in the head, or they always come back.
Dewey, who gives a fuck?
I do.
No, Dewey!
Little late though, don't you think? And next we get to watch Dewey reload his pistol to some very dramatic music and then finally take that important headshot. Dewey then gets stabbed multiple times and basically emptied out right on this hospital floor as Ghostface tells him that it's an honor. First off, I couldn't think of a dumber way to kill off one of the centerpieces of an entire franchise. Secondly, the power's out on an entire floor of a hospital and not a single person comes to check out what's going on. I've been on a lot of hospital floors in my life, and I've never seen a single one without at least a handful of people working. But this is Scream, so maybe he's not dead. Dewey's been left for dead multiple times by now in the franchise just to come back later. Oh, okay, never mind. He did. We then get treated to a dramatic Gale Weathers sequence as she watches Dewey's body get taken away. Sidney, though, does end up coming back to Woodsboro and is here to console Gale. Richie, Sam, and Tara then decide to leave Woodsboro, to which Sidney tells them it's better to face this. Running doesn't help. She would know. Sam then gives Sid a little bit of that "what do you want from me, lady" attitude. How dare you? Regardless, the group still decides to leave. Sid, though, makes Gale proud and tells her she was able to put a tracker on their car. However, as they drive away, Tara realizes she can't find her inhaler, but did leave an extra at Amber's house, which is on the way. Lucky for them, Amber's not only thrown a kegger, but a few years back, Amber's parents bought Stu Macher's house, which, if you remember, is the iconic house at the end of the first Scream movie. So you know something is about to go down. Inside the party, they toast to their friend Wes, who passed away earlier in the movie, which is also a toast to the great Wes Craven as well. As Chad and Liv are making out on the couch, Liv then asks Chad if he wants to go upstairs and finally, do the, to which he responds that he's not entirely sure she's not the killer. Come on, man, that's a risk you're gonna have to take, brother. Chad disagrees and now finds himself in the doghouse. Later on, Chad's starting to get a little worried because Liv won't text him back. So he goes outside to look for her. Outside, Chad does finally get a text back, but this time it's an invitation for a location finder app. Once the 2 locations touch tips, as you can guess, it's not Liv. Ghostface stabs Chad before ultimately tracking him down again and stabbing him 6 more times. But then has to get away as Sam, Richie, and Tara's car arrive at the party. The 3 arrive to a warm welcome inside the party. However, for some reason, Amber then immediately tells everyone the party's over. Tara's like, we're just here to grab my inhaler real quick. Then as Sam tells Richie let's go, he turns on the lights and helps to kick everyone out, which also is a little suspect. And we get another VO cameo. This time it's Jamie Kennedy voicing that we've got a party pooper on our hands.
Somebody's goofy ass dad is kicking us out.
The house is pretty empty now, but Richie figures he might as well grab a beer from the basement. While doing so, Liv shows up, not only upset that she can't have sex tonight, but that her Uber canceled as well. Sidney and Gale are now in the car, and once Sidney's GPS updates, she realizes they're heading towards Stu Macher's house. So she immediately calls Sam. Sid calls and lets her know she's at the house where her dad and Stu killed everyone and she needs to get the hell out of there because someone clearly planned to get them there. Back with Mindy as she's watching more store-brand Jamie Kennedy, Randy's telling Laurie Strode on the TV to turn around, while Mindy's telling Randy on the TV to turn around, while we're telling Mindy on our TV to turn around. But really, Mindy, turn around. Well, too late. Ghostface then attacks her. Sam hears the commotion from another room and heads over to help. Ghostface then eats a lamp like a champ and escapes before he can finish off Mindy. Tara and Amber then enter the room and Amber immediately assumes Sam's the one that attacked Mindy. Richie immediately follows them into the room and is shocked as well about what he's also seen. Alright, what the hell? Who did this? Liv then is the last to run into the room and has the time to tell Amber to fuck off and then has to be asked why she has blood all over her before she finally tells them she found Chad outside. Okay, maybe she was just in shock, but it still seems a little suspicious. The group's now pretty sure that Liv's the killer.
I'm not the fucking killer!
I know. Welcome to Act 3.
Run!
Now do you believe Liv? The group scatters, Sam and Richie end up in the basement, and Richie goes over why he thinks there are two killers and why he thinks one of them is Tara. Basically because he believes Tara led them here and they've been estranged for years. Sam, though, realizing how little she knows Richie, decides to run upstairs to look for her sister Tara. Gale and Sidney arrive at the House of Fun and are kindly greeted by the host Amber. How nice. However, Amber's screaming and saying someone stabbed her. This isn't Gale and Sid's first rodeo, though.
What do you think? Trap.
Fuck it.
After Gale gets shot in the gut, she tells Sidney she needs to finish this for Dewey. She has a moment of deja vu before entering the house. However, this is not the actual house from the original movie. For this movie, they recreated a replica of the house, and I think they did a fantastic job.
One of the moments I will never forget during the shoot was when the Legacy cast walked onto our big sort of Act 3 set for the first time, and just watching them have the experience of stepping back in time to the first movie, you could see how much that family and these movies have meant to them.
Upstairs, Sam finds Tara tied up, but to Tara's surprise, decides to just leave her tied up. You know, just in case. As Sid walks upstairs, she decides to just start shooting through doors, hitting Richie in the leg behind one of them. Richie's like, I'm hiding from the murderers, what do you think I'm doing? But Ghostface then pops out behind Sid and the two go over the railing and fall down into the foyer. Sam grabs the gun, but just as Richie joins her down the stairs, he stabs her and we find out killer number 2 was Sam's number 1 this entire time, Richie. And for the first time since the original Scream, the boyfriend is not just a red herring and is actually Ghostface. And a little redemption sort of for Derek from Scream 2, who before rewrites was originally supposed to be one of the killers. So we do finally get a silly nice guy turned psychotic killer. A little different than Billy, who typically had to hide that evil look on his face under those greasy brown locks. I think it's funny how Amber still decided to put the Ghostface costume on even though we all already knew she was one of the killers. But anyways, Richie also unveils he had Tara's inhaler this entire time and was a little surprised his plan worked. Alright, third act bloodbath, check. Killers revealed, check. Time for the big finale. Into the kitchen we go. Richie explains how they need to save the Stab franchise and he's pissed that the franchise no longer takes the true fans seriously. They kind of just laugh at the fans. But Amber and Richie are here to give them some new material. Richie then explains the plan to frame Sam, with a narrative surrounded by avenging her dad Billy Loomis's death. So how'd you two meet anyways? Well, turns out Richie and Amber met on a Stab subreddit. Kinda like how the two killers met in Scream 2. Amber then goes off to get Tara. Slight problem though, because Sam did actually end up untying her. And the Gimp is still here, using her crutches to beat the shit out of Amber. While his guard is down, Sam then lunges for Richie, giving her just enough time to get away. While Richie looks for Sam, Gale and Sid tag team Amber in the kitchen. Amber then pleads for her life, claiming the message boards radicalized her. Gale headbutts Amber, which causes her to fall into the stove, kicking on the burner in the process. Then to avenge Dewey, Gale gets the honors of shooting her. Went a little heavy on the hairspray, huh? As Gale and Sid watch her burn alive in the kitchen, fun's not over though because Richie's upstairs looking for Sam because he doesn't want her ruining his ending. He finds her, but because he's a little baby back bitch, the two end up falling down the stairs. Richie does end up with the gun though. Then Sam's dead dad in the mirror tells her there's a knife hiding under the shades. Okay? So Sam tells Richie, this ending's changing, bitch.
Never fuck with the daughter of a serial killer.
And stabs Richie straight through the cheek, then 21 more times. All right, yeah, definitely don't mess with the daughter of a serial killer. Holy shit.
What about
My ending.
Then finally ends him for good with a brutal throat slit. But because they always come back to life, like Sid points out, Sam takes the advice and shoots him 3 times. All right, we can finally breathe. Anyone else? All right. And now outside the house, Mindy is carried to an ambulance and finding out her brother is also alive. Sam is out there as well, thanking Gale and Sidney. Off to Woodsboro Medical Center they go because don't worry, you'll be safe there, right? And the movie officially ends with For Wes on the screen in honor of longtime Scream director Wes Craven. And if you listen closely, you can hear bird chirps, which was added because Wes was an avid bird watcher in his free time. All right, now it's time to find out if Scream 5 is good enough to grab or if it's one I want to stab. First off are the kills, and despite the emphasis on gore in this movie, there were actually only 8 total deaths, which is the second fewest so far in the franchise. And for the first time, nobody died in the opening. However, I do think overall the kills in this movie are really solid. They had a couple unique knife kills, and Ghostface even killed someone with a gun too. My favorite kill would have to be Wes's death, which was a super brutal kill, seeing that knife just kind of slowly go through his face. Second are the characters. Now let's talk about Sam here for a moment. I do think she kind of resembles Skeet Ulrich a little bit, but I don't think her character overall was written well enough in this movie to help carry the franchise forward, but maybe that'll change in Scream 6. We have seen times in previous movies where the core cast of Scream was kind of just thrown in to appease the original fans, but in this movie it definitely felt like they were just kind of tossed in as just an afterthought to kind of just appease the original fans or just to get their face on the movie poster to get more money. Gale's character in this one was nowhere near as good as it was in the previous movies in the franchise, which was definitely a downer for me because she's one of the best characters in the franchise. The kids in the movie also kind of just felt like caricatures of American teenagers, not actual believable teenage characters, but most people probably don't really care about that, but I just wanted to note that. Overall, I will say there is some good acting in this movie, and I do like some of the new cast members, but I don't really like the way that they were written. Third, here are my thoughts on the Ghostface reveal. I do think Richie did a good job hiding who he was and kind of playing that supportive boyfriend role. He didn't really come off as creepy or kind of obvious like Billy Loomis did. As a side note, Mikey Madison, who plays Ammar, is just 5'2". I know that kind of bothers people sometimes when a character that's so small kills and just tosses people around. Overall, the whole "we met on a stab" subreddit thing felt a little bit lazy to me, and their motives didn't really seem that strong, but I do think the Ghostface reveal in this movie was fine. And lastly, how scary was the movie? I do think Scream 5 was pretty tense at times and might be the scariest movie since the original. Now, the third Scream movie was definitely written to be a satirical movie with a lot of comedy in it and not much gore. Then the fourth movie was written to be more teen focused and had a very young vibe to it. And yeah, the whole "it could happen in real life" kind of an aspect does make Scream scary to a lot of people. And overall, this movie definitely had some good jump scares as well. With all that said, I'm actually gonna have to go with a stab on Scream 5 though. But first, I do want to point out some things I liked about the movie. I like that they brought it back to Stu's house at the end, even though it was just a replica. I think Ghostface in this movie is a savage. And there are so many little Easter eggs in this movie, which I thought was really cool, but Dewey's death was just not good. The lack of focus around Sidney's character felt like they could definitely only get her to be in the movie if there just weren't that many scenes for her to film. I could have done without the whole Dewey and Gale breakup, but we didn't really want to break up whole storyline. The party at the end at Stu's house was nowhere near as good as the original, and obviously they're trying to pass the Scream torch along to a new set of characters to continue the franchise on into the future, but outside of Jenna Ortega, I don't think they really found that many memorable characters. And I'm putting that more so on the way the characters were written, not the actual actors themselves. So a stab it is for Scream 5. Now remember guys, just because I don't really like a movie that much, by no means should that influence you whether or not you go and see the movie. A movie I might not like that much, you might go and love it. And also it supports the horror genre. So definitely go and watch Scream 5 for yourself. Also, I'm sorry to say, but there won't be a Who Killed Who bonus for Scream 5. I really tried to make one, but the reason I couldn't is because a lot of the kills in Scream 5 are damn near impossible to pinpoint who did it. More specifically, the deaths of Judy, Wes, and the cop at the hospital really could have been either person. So I'm sorry, I really tried to figure out who it could have been, but some of the scenes, the way they went down, were just unexplainable. But there you go, that wraps up Scream 5, and depending on when this video is released will determine when I cover Scream 6, but be on the lookout for that video sometime in 2023, which will apparently not have Neve Campbell in it. In the meantime though, I'm Matt McFarland, and you just finished watching Grab or Stab. Thank you so much everybody for watching this Scream 5 video, hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoy horror content like this or just horror content in general, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications as well. All of my social media links will be down below in the description if you want to go and follow me over there. I also have a Patreon if you want to support this channel in other ways. I'll have that link down below as well. Be on the lookout for new episodes which come out every single Friday. But anyways, everybody, take care of yourselves and I will see you in the next one.